On the last episode of Hops and Gnarly Brewing, I compared a beer that was dry hopped at High Krausen to one that was only dry hopped at the end of fermentation. While the results weren't crystal clear, I think it's worth the extra effort to double dry hop my Hazy IPAs. Once at High Krausen and once just before packaging. But timing is just part of the story. I've said it before, but it's almost impossible to evaluate a single component without running into another. Yeast selection also plays a critical role in biotransformation and of course contributes to things like attenuation, appearance, body, aroma, and basically every other aspect of the final product. Today, I'm testing 3 Imperial Yeast strains. We've got Flagship, Juice, and Barbarian. Now, let's make some beer. For this beer, I'm using some local spring water and I'm adjusting the water profile using gypsum, calcium chloride, Epsom salt, and canning salt. I'm targeting a water profile with 150 parts per million sulfate and 200 parts per million chloride. With some beer styles, this isn't necessarily required to make good beer, but with the Hazy IPA, you should really make every effort to take control of your water. The recipe for today features locally malted grains from Proximity Malt, including 60% base malt, 12% each of Vienna, malted oats, and flaked oats, and 4% dextrin. Let's get it going. Keep mashing this in until everything is nice and saturated and holding steady at our target mash temperature of 152 Fahrenheit or 67 Celsius. Then I'll let the mash bed settle for a few minutes before starting the recirculation and a 1-hour timer. About every 15 minutes or so, I'll rake the top of the mash and make sure the system is recirculating correctly. Alright, we've been mashing for over an hour now and we just reached our mash out temperature of 168 degrees Fahrenheit or 75 Celsius. Time to yank these grains and get our boil started. We've been boiling for 15 minutes now, and it's time to start recirculating through my Blickman Therminator to sanitize it. We've got 15 minutes left in the boil. Okay, it's been 30 minutes and it's time to kick off the whirlpool. Let's drop the temp to 160 Fahrenheit or 71 Celsius and start weighing out some more hops. For this 7.5 gallon batch, I'm adding 33 grams each of Citra, Eldorado, and Idaho 7. I'm gonna whirlpool for 30 minutes and really pay attention to the hop spider and extracting the hop oils. And just like that, it's time to chill this wort down and get ready for fermentation. I separated my 7.5 gallon batch into these 3 anvil bucket fermenters, and I'm using this refrigerator, heat pad, and temperature controller to maintain a fermentation temperature of 65 Fahrenheit or 18 Celsius. I'm going with all Imperial yeast today. I'm using Flagship, Barbarian, and Juice. By the next day, all 3 vessels were off and running, and on day 2, I decided it was time for a dry hop. We've got a healthy fermentation bubbling away, so I could probably just open the valve and drop my hops in, but I'll just quickly run through my normal process. I'll close the butterfly valve, connect a sight glass, and add my hops. From here, I'll connect a gas line and purge the sight glass with CO2. And I like to purge about 7 times and then try my hardest to get the hops to drop into the fermenter. Then, while the valve is open, I'll purge the entire vessel and then reconnect my blow-off arm. I'll repeat this process for each fermenter. In a few days, I'll raise the fermentation temperature for a diacetyl rest, and then I'll dry hop one more time before cold crashing and packaging everything up with the October SL1. It's been a couple weeks since brew day, and it's time to taste batches F, G, and H. Batch F was made with Imperial Flagship, which has been my go-to yeast throughout this entire process. Batch G is Imperial Barbarian, and Batch H is Imperial Juice. Already, I can tell these beers are quite different from each other. Batch F is the clearest of the 3 with a golden yellow color and 2 fingers of pure white head. It has a familiar aroma of sweet fruit and orange juice, and the flavor is similar with notes of citrus and orange marmalade. This is really similar to Batch E that I tasted in the last episode. Batch G has a good haze, and the aroma is way different than Batch F. It's almost hard to believe this is from the same batch. This one smells like candy in the best way, and it's more tropical than Batch F. Meg says it smells like banana runts, and I totally agree. It tastes tropical with a pillowy mouthfeel and a bright finish. And finally, Batch F is definitely the haziest beer in the bunch. The aroma and flavor of this one is pretty much right in the middle of the previous 2. It's citrusy with some tropical flavors mixed in, and has a thick mouthfeel that finishes a little sweet. Old sayings like brewers make wort and yeast makes beer generally make me roll my eyes. But the variation between these 3 beers is a big reminder to me. To make great beer, it's absolutely crucial to choose the right yeast and provide the right conditions for it to thrive. Flagship has been super reliable throughout this process, but I think it's time I put it aside in favor for Barbarian and Juice. Barbarian created an amazing aroma and flavor that I just didn't find in the other 2, but Juice made a beautifully hazy appearance. Next time, I'll choose a path forward, and we'll see what this experimentation has amounted to. This episode of Hops and Gnarly Brewing was made possible by these awesome partners. If you like this video, let me know in the comments and consider subscribing so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'll see you again soon.